in the second half. Few did, and many were right. 34-31, the Los Angeles Rams survive in the Queen City. Back in studio with the fellas as we wipe a brow, or at least those who filled out brackets and those who made vast prognostications of what this LA team could do. This was almost the immediate wrench into that conversation here, Mac. What do you make of this 60 minutes and the way that LA survived?
I mean, this was a very, very intense playoff caliber game, and this is what we expect to see. This is why the NFL playoffs, it goes to a whole nother level. I remember a veteran player once told me my rookie year. That's what we call veteran players, old heads, right? He said, when we got ready for regular season play, he asked me, he said, preseason, was it moving fast for you? I said, it's moving a little faster. He said, well, it's going to move faster in regular season. I'm like, no, it can't be that much faster, right? And then regular season hits, we get ready for the playoffs. He said, hey, playoff football, young fella, it's faster. Like, it can't be faster. Trust me, it's faster. And it is. And that's why you see
Panthers played tonight. I think, if anything, the big takeaway for the Rams is that they're beatable, right? 2 turnovers. They had a blocked punt. They were 3 of 13 on third down and 1 of 2 on fourth down, which is essentially another turnover. Puka dropped a ball before the half. Devontae had a drop there late in the second half. But quarterback and head coach matter so much in the NFL. We saw Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford at their absolute best when they needed it. Yeah. Stafford, I mean, what else can you say about the guy, the potential MVP, dime on the last drive to Colby Parkinson, taking the lead, and then the defense makes a stop down the stretch when they need them to. But this was a fun, high-powered, high-scoring game to start the playoffs. But I was really impressed with the Panthers, really impressed with Bryce Young, but the Rams found a way when they needed to.
JJ, we just watched the Rams' first road win when allowing 30 or more points in 7 years. How did they do it?
I don't know. I don't feel great about the Rams right now. And I think you guys hit on it. And there's the high of just watching the first playoff football game of this tournament. But the Rams going to Charlotte being 10-point favorites. And I know that they lost there, right? And give Carolina their credit, and we're going to talk more about the Panthers in just a little bit. But they had more than 100 rushing yards out there. Matthew Stafford threw for more than 300 yards. They went up 14-0 in this game, and it really did feel like Vegas couldn't have made it. 10 was going to be low at that point, right? I mean, in the first half of the first quarter, it looked like the Rams were going to run away with this. And I do want to credit Carolina. And again, I'm going to talk far more about Carolina. I'm a North Carolina guy myself. But the Rams allowed the lesser team to not only stay around, but get back in it. Not just get back in it, but take the lead. Not just take the lead, but needing an MVP-like drive, 2-minute drive there down the stretch from Matthew Stafford, where only a couple dudes on the planet could have done what he did in order to beat Carolina, an 8-9 team in Charlotte, when 23 days ago, the Rams were just a few minutes away from getting a stranglehold on the #1 overall seed. They shouldn't even be playing this week, right? They were that close to it, and then they gave away the game against Seattle, and then they lost to Atlanta, and so now they come to Carolina as the 5 seed.
Closer to not playing next week.
And that's exactly right. Yeah. So kudos to Matthew Stafford. Yeah. Congratulations to the Rams for surviving and advancing. I don't feel great about it moving forward.
Mac, I know you had some issues with the way that this game was managed on both sides. These head coaches, some fourth down decisions, but we also look at a Carolina team that takes 3 timeouts into the postseason. Did you think at any point of that Rams drive, there was a natural stoppage, there was some time to figure things out? How do you process the fact that Carolina is holding all their bullets going into the end?
It doesn't make any sense. You have 3 timeouts. Why are you taking these timeouts with you to 2026 regular season? You got a young quarterback who's never been he's never been in this moment before. You got 3 timeouts, right? It's 4th down. It's 4th down, and I understand it was an incompletion the play before, so the clock stopped, naturally stopped. But it's fourth down, Ben. Call a timeout. Draw something up. Make sure the protection is where it needs to be, because if you look at the previous 2 downs, the offensive line had some issues in protecting your young quarterback. He got hit. He was running. So call a timeout.
Yeah.
You still have 2 more left. And remember, you don't need a touchdown to tie the game. You need a field goal to tie the game. It was questionable decisions. And this was a learning experience for Dave Canales and his entire staff, right? This was his first time being in this moment as a head coach. But you have to learn fast. You can't go through the process and then rewatch the tape and say, this is what I should have did this or did that. And then you look at some of the other questionable decisions. How many times are you going to go for it on fourth down midfield? Right? I understand
that's a bigger issue.
That's a bigger issue.
But
it leads to it, because it jump-started the efforts in the first half that you talked about, the Rams, and how they got that double-digit lead. Right. Your defense played serviceable football, in my opinion. What was the Rams on third down?
3 of 13.
3 of 13. They couldn't convert anything.
Yeah.
So don't make it easy for them. I think one thing about coaches, guys, for me, I think coaches have to realize they cannot coach playoff football the same way they coach regular season football, because there's no tomorrow in playoff football. Week 5, you can be a little more aggressive, because there's a week 6, there's a week 7. In playoff football, it's okay to kind of change up your style a little bit, because there's no tomorrow. In playoff, it felt like Canales, when you look at being 0 for 3 on fourth down, he felt like there's a tomorrow, regardless if we get him, if we don't get him. That's not the case.
And the other side of that is be who you are. Be who got you here. This is the team that converted the most fourth downs throughout the midst of the regular season. But understanding game flow and not giving the future MVP, if it does break that way, a 50-yard field and 7 points to start the game. We know the play of Matthew Stafford has been MVP caliber all season long, but we continue to move the goalposts on Bryce Young. First it was, you can't win with this guy, it's a total bust. Then it was, oh, you're starting to see signs here, Canales getting his system implemented. We see him playing playoff football for the first time in his career, and we see 21 of 40, 264, but my mind goes to that perfect throw to the corner of the end zone, what could have been a game-winning throw by Bryce Young. What did you make of his play in this game?
I understand this team's going to be upset. There's going to be some reason for, hanging your head a little bit. Everybody wants to end the season on a win. But for Bryce Young, for this Panthers team, I think there should be a lot of excitement, a lot of intrigue heading into next year for this team. Bryce Young, first playoff game, I thought he was really, really good tonight, accurate. The touchdown to Coker, before the 2-minute drill that, put them up a couple points, Stafford answered. But I was impressed by how he played tonight. The legs, the accuracy was on display. And I think coming into this game, that was a little bit of the criticism for Bryce Young. In the big moments, what will he do? What will he look like? We haven't necessarily seen him in this situation before. So for him, for this offense, they've got some weapons on this offense now. Jacob Coker, McMillan, the running backs obviously are what they are, and Bryce Young, who's going into year 4. So it'll be interesting to see what the Panthers do this offseason in regards to picking up his 5th year and what the position looks like with that regard. But I was really impressed with how Bryce Young played tonight.
Boy, you really want Jimmy Horn to secure that catch there on fourth down. Right, and not try to catch it there at his knees. And I think Greg Olsen even said, keep his feet and try to keep moving, because to your point earlier, B-Mag, they got the timeouts. And so you don't have to keep running. You don't have to try to run to get out of bounds. You got the timeouts. Just secure the catch there on fourth down. So that's going to be disheartening. Another disheartening thing, you listed off a couple of wide receivers. One guy you didn't say is Xavier Legette, who just was not seen from, milk carton sort of game, and really has been this season for him. And so you're going to need a little bit more there for Carolina. You needed it, frankly, tonight. And you didn't get it. I liked what I saw from Bryce Young. I liked the resiliency with which he played this entire season. And you know what this Panthers team sort of reminds me of this year? And it's not a perfect analog, but I go back to when I was covering this team. And in 2012, reminds me a little bit of last season. And they were trying to figure out their way with Cam Newton and Ron Rivera in year 2. And then, boom, in year 3, they're able to win, and they're able to host a home playoff game. And they wound up losing to the San Francisco 49ers and Colin Kaepernick. And it wasn't as close a game as this one, but you saw the seeds being planted. You saw what this team and this franchise and organization, what they were trending towards. And then after that, 2014, make it back to the playoffs, 2015, that magical 15-1 season. And so I sort of see it similarly here. Bryce Young's the guy. Dave Canales, the head coach. Dan Morgan, the GM. They have the pieces. Let's not forget they did it without their left tackle, Ike Ekwonu, for almost this entire game. He went out with that knee injury. So credit to this team for fighting hard against a better team and almost winning.
We heard JJ say something earlier about this Rams team, how you can't really feel great about them. But a closing thought here on LA, Mac. The man who stares into the abyss and returns to tell the tale often lives freely. Is this a freeing experience that you survive this, or do you share that same worry?
I'm looking at this moment as a scare moment for the Rams, and they get right. I believe in their offense. I don't believe in their defense, guys. And now when I look back at some of the games and how they finished the regular season, right, I go back to the Detroit game. Even though they won that ball game, they allowed 34 points, right, the Rams defensively. Then you look at the Thursday night game. Remember what they allowed in the fourth quarter. That led to a 38-37 win for Seattle. Your offense scored 37 points, and that wasn't enough, right, in a loss. Then you look at the Monday night game against the Atlanta Falcons. They allowed 27 points. So just those three outings, again, is something that has clicked for opposing offenses when they face off against the Rams defensively, where there are vulnerable moments in those matchups. And we saw Bryce Young, to you guys' point, exploit some of those moments in their favor. So now Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay, they go in some games almost like knowing we got to outscore people. And once upon a time, their defense was more stout. They were more sound. They did better jobs in putting pressure on opposing quarterbacks in September and October. But in December and now currently in January, they can't stop a nosebleed. And that's not a winning recipe when you're trying to get to San Francisco to compete for a championship. And last thing I say, Kyron Williams got to get more than 13 carries. Like, I don't understand why you gave him an extension to split time with Blake. Like, Kyron Williams is a guy who should get 18 to 22 rushing attempts easily. But it's hard for him to get a rhythm when it's almost like evenly he's getting carries the same amount that Blake is getting.
The good thing about it is they have another week to figure it out. The LA Rams play on after a MVP-like drive down the field by Matthew Stafford and the offense. A look here at Stafford in playoff games since becoming a Ram, which has really elevated this career from statistically important to Hall of Fame adjacent, if not already there. Quarterback wins, passing yards, and passing touchdowns, leading the pack since 21. More to come here on HQ Postgame. Straight ahead, we assess the future ahead as Jonathan Jones details where Carolina will move next.